This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. On today's repair video, I tell you what, I'm filming this at the end, unlike when filming it at the beginning. We got a doozy for y'all. I got this John Deere L110 that originally was supposed to be a part of a video, the previous video y'all saw on the channel of a D100 that I fixed. And because of, he got done wrong, my customer did, by another flipper. He bought that D100, excuse me, for $975. Didn't have any deck guards or guides on it, so it kept throwing the belt on it. And so we got that corrected for him. This was going to be a part of that video, but this is a whole lot more involved than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be able to potentially take the belt and the fan off of that D110 back there, but the drive setup's a little bit different. But guys, that's only the beginning of this repair. So drive belt and fan, but then also we have an issue with it only running on one cylinder, and I told him when I took the D100 back to him that I needed some time with this one because it was running on one cylinder and I didn't have the parts here. Got the parts in. This video, I tell you what, we had to do quite a bit of work, so get ready for a long one. We're going to sort out a lot of things on this John Deere L110. If you remember in part 1, this engine got swapped to a Briggs & Stratton V-twin. So keep that in mind. This was originally supposed to have a Kohler 17.5 Command in it, but it's got a Briggs V-twin. That's the least of the issues on this thing, really. The person whoever swapped this engine on it did not do a few things correctly on it, unfortunately. So we've got to correct those. So let's go ahead, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into repairing the drive belt and the fan, and then we're going to sort out all of the other issues as we peel back the layers on this John Deere L110. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let's go ahead and get started. We got the L110 in the garage now. We'll go ahead and knock this out today. It's been a few days since I filmed the last clip. I do have all the items in. John Deere M809036 fan, and then the GX20006 belt. I got it from Stens because they're about the same cost-wise as the aftermarkets, and the Stens belts seem to be a little bit better. So did that. What we got to do, and what I do to get these drive belts off, is we need to get the deck off here. So I just lower the deck all the way. There are 5 mounting points on this. And of course they put this on the wrong way. But you got to take your clip off for your blade engagement cable, which we'll go ahead and do that here now. Alright. Pull the spring out. Just kind of have to lift it up. A lot of times I just hook it up onto the deck height. You have multiple points you can get this deck off with. Quite a few clips you can take off. So I'll show it to y'all down here before I actually pull it off. These decks, looks like you can take it off right here. I'm going to take off the second one right there on the top. That way it's all together. Same on the other side, and then we've got these clips on the front here. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that off camera. I think I've shown you how to do that a few times. Belt-wise, you just have to lift it over the belt guides in the front and then off of the side there, and you should be good. in order to drag out the deck. Again, you just got to take off your clips, lower your deck mount, and some of these clips I'm going to be struggling with, so I'm going to take care of those. We'll drag this deck out. I'll show you everything underneath. Changing the drive belts on these isn't too bad, but you do have to undo a few things in order to get them. Alright, so let me get underneath this John Deere and show you what may be going on here. So, got it on jack stands, obviously. You can get a mower jack, whatever. I'll be getting a mower jack soon, but that's beside the point. So what we've got is, looks like this pulley here. That pulley was a little bit stuck over there, so I don't know, and it doesn't look like it's centered, so I don't know what's going on there, if somebody's been in this already. But they both seem like they're turning okay, which is good. The rear pulley, you can see it's just been wiped, that fan. And that's a very common thing with these for some reason. And we've got a groove worn into this one, this belt, so I don't know what happened with the belt and everything. But on the front it looks okay. There's no guides in the front. Usually there are guides in the front for this, but not on this one, so that's interesting. What you've got to do, I've got to drop this pulley here. That's a 5/8. And then this, I believe, is a 3/4. You have to pull this steering wheel gear and stuff off because it runs in between up there. So I've got to pull those off. And then on the back side here, I've got to figure out what's going on with this pulley as well, because it looks like it's a little off center for some reason. And then on the back side, a lot of times you can access this a little bit better from the side. But there's a 10mm on the other side over there, right in the middle of your screen, that you got to get off in order to take off this top plate so that you can get the belt over the that plate to get it off. So I'm going to take care of those items real quick, show you what it looks like, and then we'll get this new belt on, as well as the fan. Alright, steering shaft is up. Again, the 3/4 got that. And you just kind of have to maybe lightly tap it or bump it to get it up. But we got it. And then a 5/8 dropped that pulley, literally pulled the belt back. It was already off of these two pulleys right here. And so we should be, those two pulleys right there. And so now we're going to go toward the back again. Just going to come to the back here, disassemble these 10mm right there. And that'll allow me to get off the pulley, or get off this bracket, so that I can access the pulley and the fan. Alright, so one thing you don't want to forget is one thing that I forgot after I started putting everything back together. And that is this little piece right here. So the fan, this piece, then the pulley, and then we can put in all the other stuff here. And you have to do this without the light because it's in the way. But so we'll put this piece back in. That's after we put the snap ring back in. I'm making this job way too hard on myself. So I'll get the snap ring back in. There's no keeping that light on there, is there? So I'm gonna get the snap ring in, which seems to be a challenge for some reason. All right. See if I can get it off now. Alright, so that's in. I don't know how much I can show y'all here without getting in the way. But now, for like the 4th time, let me get this back in. Sometimes I think I move a little bit too fast for my own good sometimes. And just doesn't work out very well. I'll go to the other side and get that piece in. So now what we can do is get the belt on. What you'll do is you'll slide it underneath this. So there's a guide on the bottom. It's like a little rod that guides it. And we're going to go through that, over the top, and then have it rest. Sorry y'all, I need to have as much room as possible here. And it's going to rest on the drive pulleys. I'll pull the belt tight on the drive pulley and then set everything down here so that it rests underneath the guides. And then I'll thread this bolt in, just a couple of threads. Let's see if I can pull this tight on the other side while I put this down on this side. So I think we got it. I'm going to do my best here to show y'all what I'm talking about. So that's what it looks like. You put this in, slide the belt in, make sure it's behind all the guides and or in between the pulley and the guides for this back bracket. Make sure that it locks down on the other side, and then we're going to put in the 10 millimeter here for the bolt. It's a little bit of an adventure to replace a drive belt in one of these, but well, at least the drive belt and the fan. But everything's in all the guides and everything now, so it should work just fine. What we got to do now is I got to figure out why this pulley is off right here. It's almost like it's missing a guide or something along those lines. So I've got the park brake on, so I'm able to see this a little bit better. It almost looks like both of them are a little bit off, which would explain why it's doing what it's doing. But let me look at it a little bit more. I'll let y'all know what I find. And then we just got to do the reverse to get everything back on. You just got to slide the belt up through the this little sector here, this little plate, up to the top, and then put your double stack pulley on. Well, we got everything back on it, which is a good thing. What I did, so these pulleys that I mentioned down here, actually were not on the guides up top, so they were a little bit lower than they were supposed to too, which is why they were eating up the belt as well. So that's fixed now. The fan's on it. Everything looks like it's lined up like it's supposed to be. Everything's turning like it's supposed to be. I got the steering shaft back on it. Got the double stack pulley back on it, and I think we are in business again, so that's good. I am going to, let's see, I think we're at the point where I can start it up, see if this thing drives again. There is a little bit of things that we got to do to this machine still, but I did not end up using parts from that D110 because this drive system just a tiny bit different. So let's see if this thing will start first off, and then hopefully it'll drive. I forgot I gotta engage the transmission. The engagement lever was missing, and so I manually did it back here. So let me figure that out real quick. The belt looks like it's doing its job, which is good. So let me get this transmission back engaged again, because I don't think I got it engaged. It's missing the little lever on the back. Again. I think it's only running on one cylinder, so I've got to sort that out. But yeah, so we're driving again. Let's look underneath just to make sure the belt's not shredding or anything. Belt looks good. Fan isn't throwing anything off, so we should be okay. So now what I've got to do, he said just get it into a good running condition, right? So it needs an oil change pretty bad from what I can tell, and then yeah, that oil's relatively clean. That oil filter is ancient, so we're still going to change the oil in it. I don't know, like, let's see, is that side? That right cylinder's not working, so I don't know if it's a ignition coil, spark plug, or something along those lines. Might pull the core, see if I can see if it's sparking. Hopefully I don't have to put a cylinder head on it if the little valve guide's popped out. So let's see though. We've got spark here. This does not look like the correct ignition coil anyways. So that starter sounds horrendous, but it works. So we're getting spark, but not to the right cylinder. If we get lucky, it's only a spark plug though. I doubt we're going to be that lucky. But we can check it right now, can't we? It was pretty loose, so let's see what we've got here. Is it wet? It is wet. Which means that it's not sparking, most likely. So let me see if I can find a plug to put in it. See if that fixes our issue. Alright, so now I know what's happening here. Somebody put a Metal Gear starter on a plastic tooth flywheel. So I think we caught it early enough to where, did we? I hope. Oh boy, man, he's gonna hate it if I have to replace the flywheel on it. But hey, gotta do your due diligence sometimes. We're not gonna let that fly. So I'm gonna replace. Well, I'm just gonna do this one more time just to see if that fixed it. Doesn't sound like it, does it? I'm going to pull the valve cover off of it. Let's see. Yeah, so that did not fix it. Man, I got to pull the valve cover off to see what's going on here. We're getting spark to the cylinder, so I'm hoping this is not another popped head. This is be the second one this week on a Briggs V-twin, if that's the case. So, let me pull this hood off here. Well, I don't necessarily have to. So let me grab oil pan. We're going to drop the pan here and see what we need to do. Okay, now take these last two off. I have a sinking feeling that we've got something going on with the cylinder head here. Do we? It's kind of odd. That's odd. Okay. It's definitely not running on both cylinders. Oh, this plug right here is about to fall out too. Man. Okay. What I'm going to do first, before I get in trouble here with the flywheel, is change the starter out. So make sure your ignition switch is off. As long as it's off and your starter solenoid is working properly, then you're fine. Take 7/16 and just kind of give it a good little jerk there of the wrench to break that nut loose. Take the starter terminal off here, and then now what you need to do is you have 2 bolts in the starter here that you could get the stars or you could get the 1/2 inch, and you can take that off. We'll see if this 1/2 inch isn't that powerful enough to at least take this bolt off of this side. go. Kind of running low on battery on that. So we'll pull the other bolt off here as well, and get this out of here. Put the proper starter on, and hopefully we've still got enough flywheel left to where it will work. This thing's a little bit of a mess, guys. I hate it. I hate that it's like this, but everything looks like it works though on this side, which is odd. And it has compression, so it's like it's got compression, it's got fuel, it's got fire. Why does it not run, you know? So it's kind of weird. So I'm gonna get the starter off. I've got a starter here. I just got one, and we'll put it on. So I put a new starter in here. Flywheel's too gone, so we got to put a flywheel on this thing. It worked for a couple starts, but then it started wearing the starter gear out, and I don't want to wear that gear out any more than it is. So still not getting spark on this side. It's got, the valves are moving. They seem like they're adjusted properly. It's got compression, and it's getting spark. So it's either a carb issue where one side is blocked, or this ignition coil just ain't right. So let me get off the top portion here. I tell y'all what, today's Tuesday in this week right here. Yesterday was not an easy day with repairs, and today has not started off to be easy either. So I'm going to get this cover off. You have to take these 4 screws off, get this cover off, and then we'll see what the flywheel and everything looks like next. Well, I tried to do the civilized way here, and that didn't work. So it literally pulled the threads out of the flywheel trying to get it out. Haven't had that happen to me yet before. So I went the old-fashioned way, put the nut back on it, found a pry bar, and just hit the crap out of the top of the shaft there. Finally got it out. So that's good. So I got the old flywheel off. Let me see if I can go find a new flywheel. I'm pretty sure I've got one. And we'll put a new flywheel on. Starter's new, so it should be fine. I don't think I've messed up the gears too bad on it. So let me see what I got in the yard, or in the shed over there, to see if I can match that flywheel up. All right, found a flywheel. Thankfully, that matches this. So we're gonna slide this thing on. Fun times, right? There we go. Line up the flywheel key there. I had the key in my hands here just a second ago. I don't know where I did with it. I'm going to put the flywheel key in it, and we'll go from there. But yeah, so you can see the teeth on this is a whole lot better than the one that was on it. So I'm going to put the flywheel key in. Literally, I just need to slide that key in there. Maybe I have to tap it down, and then after that, we will start it up, put the nut back on it, torque it down, and we'll start it up and see if we can figure out why we can't get both cylinders to run. Alright guys, that is done. What I'm going to do to see if I can at least get this to fire off to see if it's a fuel issue is put this plug in. First off, I just want to make sure that the starter and everything is still okay on this. With it being plastic, everything should just kind of fix itself, but yeah, we're much... See how much nicer that is, though, than what it was to start? So, much, much better, right? I'm wondering if we're going to have if we have a fuel issue. Because there's really no reason why this shouldn't run. It doesn't have the correct ignition coils in it, but they work. So this bill's going to be almost as much as the mower's worth, honestly, which is going to be really unfortunate for them, but alright, so what I'm going to do, spray a little carb spray down in here. I'm wondering if one of the jets is just clogged in it and the other one's fine. So I'm going to do that. The other side is unplugged, so I'm just going to see if this will kick over. Something going on here now. Let's put the other cylinder in and see if we man, there's so much wrong with this. So at least we've gotten a little bit of something going on here. Golly. So this guy's got the screw turned all the way in. And it's sat for so long that I can't get it out. So here's what I might do. This is a crazy mess here, guys. Man, this is just crazy. Because the throttle's moving up and down like it's supposed to. This seems like it's moving up. Y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but we're just gonna cut this. Cut that down some. Right there. See if that helps. Much better than it was. The problem is the carb's clogged up. And I guess the preference is being given to the left cylinder and the right cylinder is not working. So that's a good place to be, though. At least we know that both cylinders are working. That we need to get into the carburetor now. Man, this is... When I see this from other people who work on small engines, the amount of hack job mess that has gone on with this machine alone, not to mention the other one that was a part of this lot that this guy had, and he bought them like this. It's just he just got a very bad end of the deal, honestly. So we're gonna make it right for him. We got it driving again. We know that both cylinders work, so I'm thinking that the carb is just messed up on it. And I might just be able to drop it right here to see how bad it is. It's one of them Nickies. So I need to let it cool, the muffler and everything cool off first. But starter, flywheel, but it's going to be right for him. We're going to make it right for him. The pulley's jacked up underneath from where somebody had replaced a belt before. I mean, I don't know what else at this point, but crazy though, very crazy. All right, so we're gonna pull the carb off. I am gonna just inspect it really quickly by dropping the bowl gasket. I did take these 2 bolts off for the throttle plate so that I can have enough room to get this bowl gasket down. That gas looks clean in there, but the issue is it's probably got problems with the jets coming up. So I think I got a short screwdriver that I have out here, and I'm going to see if I can just undo that. Undo it here on the machine, and I think this jet drops out. Otherwise, what I'm going to have to do is pull this entire intake off. Yeah, looks like I might have to pull that entire intake off. Let me see if I can get the right tools, if I can get those screws off down here to be able to drop the bowl. Alright, I've taken the 4 intake bolts off, and now what I'll do is pull off. Do I have to pull off the throttle cable? Yes, I do. So the throttle cable needs to come off. Or is that the choke? That's actually the choke. I take that back. So now what I've got to do is, let's see what I got to do here. I got to get this linkage off, so I need to pull this that off. We're going to pull the linkage off for the throttle right here, and so we're pretty much off at this point. And then what I might do, if I can just do that right there, is just pull the carb up right here, see what it looks like. This has turned into a complete mess. Oh, so this has got 1 jet then. This is like a standard Nicki carburetor. So where does it split off into the cylinders is the question. Let's see if I can pull this up. I guess it doesn't. It's like one side is dominating the other. when it comes to the fuel. Because I don't really see any issues in this carburetor. That's weird because it looks exactly like a Nicky carburetor off of a Briggs single. Like to a T. So let's see what we can do here. That O-ring didn't come out like I wanted it to. It's just weird. And both of those look good. I know my hands are absolutely nasty. But let's see. Let's put everything back together here, you know, and see what happens, I guess. I mean, I don't know why that's not going back in like it's supposed to, but you know, some tractors, everything about them is just plain difficult. And apparently this is going to be one of them. So do I just slap this on and push it up in there again and hope that it works? I mean, I don't know. So, I mean, I guess I'm this far. I need to check the intakes, I guess. I mean, so you got to figure out what's going on with them. It's like, why is one cylinder getting more fuel than the other, you know? Can't quite figure that one out. And then pull these off. So yeah, there's no like distribution between the cylinders here on the intake side that I can tell. But it's like, why is it only wanting to fire on the left side? That's what I don't get. Man, I don't know, y'all. We'll just make sure this bowl and everything's cleaned out of it, I guess. I mean, Obviously it's not clean right now, and I've messed up the bowl gasket, of course. So, aha, there it is. See that? There's junk in the needle and seat right there. That's exactly what it is. It's junk down in that needle and seat. That's some crazy stuff, ain't it? Well, now I do know what it is. Let's grab something to clean it out. There it is, guys. I don't know if y'all can see that on camera. That was in there, so that was likely our issue. I gotta figure out how we can make this gasket survive. There's a fly. We'll spray a little bit of WD-40 down the intake here. Just to make sure we got everything. Looks like we did, so. Just a piece of junk got sucked up through the fuel line there. So now what I've got to do is put this back on. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Who hates these gaskets? I mean, I despise these things. I just want to make sure that if I get it back together, that it doesn't leak. But unfortunately, I think it's going to now. Oh, the jet's out of it too now. Oh my gosh. I can't catch a break with this thing. Alright, put the jet back down there. See if we can get it down. Alright, that's sitting in there much, much better than it was, so that's good. At this point, this is probably a lost cause, but I'm holding out hope. Needle. Okay. The carb itself is relatively clean, so whatever has happened. Alright, so I'm going to put it all back together now. Crazy mess. That little blockage probably was what was causing my issue with the cylinders not running like they were supposed to. So I'm gonna get this all back together because y'all are probably tired of watching me work on this thing now. And I showed y'all how to take it off, so just the reverse to put it back on isn't too bad to do. Just gotta put your throttle cable and everything back where it's supposed to. I'll show y'all how to do that here. Just like that. You will put this back on. And what I'm going to do in addition to this is also replace probably the fuel lines from the filter up to the carburetor, just so those are fresh and new as well. And then, man, hopefully this thing will run on 2 cylinders, burn all this oil and mess off, and then we can go ahead and put this all back together and get it running again. So I'm going to go ahead and do all this, putting all this stuff back together. It's just a few bolts now, and we'll see what we have to do after that. So I did a little cheater start here just to make sure. It ain't perfect, but it does run, and I don't have any seepage, so we might just leave it like it is. Like I said, it doesn't run perfectly, but when you get it up. Got better. So this side is firing now, which is good. I'm going to go ahead and put all the panels and stuff back on it. The only thing I might do, because I don't really want to mess with that carburetor again because of the way that gasket is, because I probably would be pushing my luck if I put another, or if I try to take it off and clean it again. So I'm going to maybe take off the bowl gasket down there, or the bowl, and see if I can just shove up a little bit of stuff in there, like a wire or something, and maybe get it a little bit better. But and maybe putting the air filter and stuff back on it might help it some too. But at least it's starting and running on 2 cylinders now. But then it could also be a crappy aftermarket car too. So there's a lot of potentials there. But we'll put everything back together next. I'm going to go ahead and put the mower deck back on as well. And hopefully the deck doesn't need anything it's a little crusty, but I think it works. And maybe get this thing back to this guy here in the next day or two, because that's just a, whew, tell y'all what, that's just been a cluster on this thing, as y'all been able to see. All right, I got it out. Everything back together on it. Probably not going to do anything else to this. Sorted itself out, thankfully. It'll do everything fine except idle now. Unless I go really far down. But it'll run right there, I think. Alright, so let me try and remember all that we've done to this. We basically fixed a bunch of other wrongdoings that somebody else did. So I'm guessing that the carb didn't run right, and so they shoved that hose or that screw in as far as it would go. That's why it wouldn't idle down originally. And that's also why I guess the right cylinder wouldn't fire. So we got that cylinder firing, put a little bit of fuel line here, cleaned the carburetor out, which we found that debris and stuff. It was relatively clean and new, but there was some debris that got sucked through somewhere into where the needle and the seat were, and so that's what was causing that issue. This deck, I mean, this deck's probably going to rot out here in a couple years. It's not worth putting spindles in it or anything like that. Y'all hear that the spindles are a little bit loud. But the big thing was we had to put this flywheel, had to put the flywheel on it, and then subsequently had to put a starter on it related to the flywheel, because they had put the wrong starter on it. They put a metal gear starter with a plastic gear flywheel. Looks like they've done a little bit of welding to the muffler. You do hear a little bit of an exhaust leak. Again, this is not a showpiece, but it runs, drives, and cuts now. I put some ATF in the front tires, some duct tape on the seat so that if it gets rained on, the rear end doesn't get wet when you get on it. Oil is okay. Blades are okay. Just save them a little bit of an expense there on it, since both of them seem fine. And the oil looked like it was recently changed, but the filter is a little full, or seems a little old, but it's probably is still working just fine. So I don't know why that wire right there is going to that ground post on the butt. So the reverse switch works like it's supposed to. They put a starter solenoid in it? Maybe not, I'm not sure. But, you know, it's kind of like, how far do you go on one of these, especially when it's a customer's mower, given what everything that you see on it, you know. And I think we got the essentials done. Like, it had to have a flywheel. It had to have a starter. If not a starter, the starter gear changed on it. It had to have a carburetor clean. And a couple of other things. Do need to check to see if the battery's charging on it and all that good stuff before we send it on and send it back to wherever it's going. Looks like this is the diode setup, which is fine because of does not have an electric PTO. So I'm going to do them last final little checks. I might even take it for a few passes up and down the driveway just to make sure it's good. But whew, tell you what, I was in for it on this one, for sure. So guys, it is charging not as much as I would like to see it. It's charging at like 12.63, 12.64, which is enough. Usually you like to see it between about 12.8 and 13, but I think it'll work for this. I've started this many times already today, and it hasn't really drained the battery any, so I think it's okay. Man, y'all, I think I'm going to make this a two-parter just because of all of the stuff alone on this machine. This video was originally supposed to be bundled with a D110 that I have for scrap/parts back there that I was going to harvest a bunch of parts off of to fix 2 machines. Y'all saw me fix the D100 already by putting all of the guards and guides and stuff on the mower deck that the other person ended up missing, along with a couple of other small things. So we had to do all that on that. That was a separate purchase for him from this one. So he bought 2 bad examples from flippers that left these things like just enough to get running, driving, and mowing. It's just, I know I make mistakes. I know that there's probably more things that I needed to do on this machine, but like the things that I had to fix on both of those machines, and especially this one, were huge oversights. Huge oversights. And I don't know, and it just, the lack of support whenever these people flip things and just stick it to people, it just doesn't sit well with me. I've got a Craftsman right here that I sold about a month and a half ago. The guy told me that it stopped driving. It just ended up being the belt popped off. I said, bring it by. I said, I'll take care of it, because I do fine in this business, and I do my best to keep customers happy, and not try and pull a fast one on them or anything like that, because I've seen it done. This guy, unfortunately, had it done to him twice, and I see it done to other people more often than not, to where it's just not right. So what we've done, and of course I'll give him support as well if there's any other issues, and if there's any issues associated with my repairs, I will stand behind them, as long as it's, you know, not something that was self-inflicted by him that caused the repair to be undone. So I think we got this thing back right again for him. Again, there are a couple small things that I would like to do to this, but we're already in pretty deep on this machine. He could have went and bought one almost for what I'm going to have to charge him to fix all of this, with the starter and the flywheel and the belt and the fan and a couple of other things. ATF in the tires. We had to fix the pulleys because those pulleys were not right down there. That's originally why the belt decided to throw itself off. Of course, that belt was old too, so we've got a stems belt on it. We've got a John Deere fan on it. We cleaned the carburetor out on it, replaced a couple of the fuel lines, and had to change out the flywheel and the starter. So a lot of big items on this machine that were pretty big oversights, and I know that the flipper put that other starter on there. So, what I'd like to do, y'all tell me some of the stories of things that y'all have seen other flippers do, and then all of a sudden they come, that other people buy, and then it comes into your shop that you have to fix. Because these last 2 John Deere's, that D100 and that L110, are some big items that were missed. And so my man's had to put some money toward both of these machines, but hopefully they're going to be right for him now. This one he'll probably get a couple years out of before the deck rots. The D100, hopefully he'll get a decent amount of time out of it, because that mower, all in all, was in pretty decent condition. It just was not put back together correctly in terms of the mower deck. The rest of it was alright though. So thanks again for watching this video. It was a little bit of a doozy, but we got it taken care of for the customer. I'll call him up, tell him the total. He'll probably be surprised, but we both probably share a good laugh about it, just because poor guy got done over twice, and he was cool about the first one, and I'm sure he'll be cool about this one, because you know, do your best to do your customers right, and they understand. So you just explain everything to them, and they'll understand. And if they don't, then they won't come back to you. Simple as that. And you don't miss their business, because you've got enough business as it is. So thanks again for watching. Thanks again for sticking with me with this repair. It was a very lengthy one, but we got it done. And I'll catch y'all on the next video. Take care.